the Attorney General.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this debate this afternoon on this important bill, and to allow me to rise to say that I fully endorse the contribution of the Honourable Minister of Finance in his piloting of this bill. Madam Speaker, the bill before us today is entitled the Miscellaneous Provisions, Proceeds of Crime, Anti-Terrorism, Financial Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago, Securities, Insurance, Non-Profit Organizations, the Civil Asset Recovery and Management and Unexplained Wealth and Miscellaneous Provisions, FATF Compliance Bill 2024. It amends 8 pieces of existing legislation, all named in the long title, and already referred to by the Honourable Minister of Finance, and I shall not repeat them. And it is 10 clauses in length, all clauses of which have been examined in considerable detail by the Honourable Minister of Finance. My contribution today, Madam Speaker, is to highlight some key aspects of this bill and to underscore its importance for Trinidad and Tobago's obligations in implementing the Financial Action Task Force international standards. Those Financial Action Task Force standards have already been addressed in detail by the Honourable Minister of Finance, and again, I do not wish to repeat some of what he has said. Madam Speaker, the Financial Action Task Force is the global anti-money laundering, counter-financing terrorism standard-setting body, which develops and promotes worldwide standards for combating money laundering and terrorist financing. As a policy-making body, the FATF works to protect and generate the necessary political will among governments worldwide to bring about national, legislative, and regulatory reforms in these areas. And FATF monitors and continues to monitor countries to ensure that the FATF standards are implemented and adhered to. Trinidad and Tobago's adherence to the FATF recommendations is crucial for maintaining a safe, secure, and transparent financial system and strengthening this country's economy, protecting its citizens, and contributing to the global efforts to combat financial crime and terrorism. Madam Speaker, the FATF Compliance Bill is of the utmost importance, as these amendments to these 8 pieces of legislation will go a considerable way towards ensuring that Trinidad and Tobago is compliant with numerous FATF recommendations. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, it is important that I inform this House that Trinidad and Tobago is currently preparing for the 5th round mutual evaluation process by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, commencing in 2025, with an on-site visit in March 2026. In point of fact, in the first week in December of this year, I will be leading a delegation of Trinidad and Tobago government representatives to Jamaica to attend a further plenary of the Caribbean Financial Task Force, in which that 5th round preparatory work is ongoing and being contributed to. The Caribbean Financial Action Task Force Secretariat has already confirmed that Trinidad and Tobago will be the first country to enter the 5th round mutual evaluation process and to present its mutual evaluation report no later than December 31st, 2026. The mutual evaluation process will assess the effectiveness of this country's AML-CFT measures and evaluate technical compliance with FATF's 40 recommendations. It will be assessing the laws, processes, and powers of competent authorities from compliance with the FATF standards. That 5th round mutual evaluation follow-up assessment process, Madam Speaker, will be a rigorous, more results-oriented process, focusing on specific actions to tackle money laundering, terrorist financing, and the financing of weapons of mass destruction. The shorter cycle, the greater scrutiny, and strong follow-up mechanisms will ensure that governments stay focused on taking effective action to detect, prevent, and punish money laundering, terrorist financing, and the financing of proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Madam Speaker, over 200 jurisdictions are regularly reviewed by the FATF or one of the 9 regional bodies to assess their effectiveness in protecting their financial systems from illicit flows. Based on these assessments, countries may find themselves on the FATF's grey list for jurisdictions with strategic deficiencies or its blacklist for those with particularly severe shortcomings. In light of this, Trinidad and Tobago continues to work assiduously to ensure that it complies with the 40 FATF recommendations. And, Madam Speaker, the passage of this piece of legislation is a crucial step in the preparation of that process. The crux of this bill, Madam Speaker, is primarily to address Recommendation 35, for which Trinidad and Tobago is presently rated as partially compliant. According to the FATF standards, Recommendation 35 mandates that countries must ensure that there is a range of effective, proportionate, and dissuasive sanctions, whether criminal, civil, or administrative, available to deal with natural or legal persons. Sanctions should be applicable not only to financial institutions, but otherwise, and also to their directors and senior management of designated non-financial businesses and professions. As referred to by the Honourable Minister of Finance, Madam Speaker, Trinidad and Tobago's prior technical compliance under the fourth round process pointed to certain technical deficiencies in the existing legislative regime for the availability of civil and administrative sanctions. Although criminal sanctions appear to be proportionate, the civil and administrative sanctions are not. Trinidad and Tobago was noted as having a deficiency related to the lack of administrative monetary penalties for the breach of AML, CFT, CPF laws. And currently, the AML, CFT legislation makes provision for criminal sanctions to be imposed against financial institutions and listed businesses for breach of the AML, CFT laws. Provision is also made to empower the supervisory authorities, the Central Bank, the Financial Intelligence Unit, the Trinidad and Tobago Securities Exchange Commission, to enforce a wide range of dissuasive and proportionate administrative penalties for breaches of the AML CFT obligations, including, among others, the issuance of compliance directives for listed businesses and financial institutions, and the suspension or revocation of licenses for financial institutions. In this regard, Madam Speaker, the criminal penalties include terms of imprisonment and a monetary penalty. The terms of imprisonment in respect of offences created for breach of the respective regulations are contained in the Proceeds of Crime Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, the Financial Intelligence Unit Trinidad and Tobago Act. Currently, the supervisory authorities, the supervisors, have the power to impose criminal penalties and a wide range of dissuasive and proportionate administrative penalties for breaches of AML CFT obligations, in particular, the Financial Obligations Regulations, the Financial Obligations Financing of Terrorism Obligations, and the Financial Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago Regulations, which I will refer to collectively as the regulations. As part of this regulatory process proposed in the bill, if the financial institutions or listed businesses fail to pay the fine and or remedy or discontinue the breach in compliance with the notices issued by the supervisors under new proposed sections, which are being proposed in the amendments to the Proceeds of Crime Act, Anti-Terrorism Act, Financial Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago Act, the supervisory authorities will be authorized to refer the matter of the breach committed by the financial institution or listed business to the Commissioner of Police to consider commencing investigations into the criminal offences created under the proposed amendments to the Proceeds of Crime Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, and the Financial Intelligence Unit Trinidad and Tobago Act. Madam Speaker, the intention is to ensure that the financial institutions or listed businesses who fail or refuse to comply with the instructions of the supervisors will remain liable to the criminal penalties under the amendments being proposed under the Proceeds of Crime Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, and the Financial Intelligence Unit Act, Trinidad and Tobago Act, respectively. And this is consistent with the existing regulatory approach under the Financial Institutions Act and the Insurance Act already in place. The most recent 2020 legislative amendments, which engaged the Supervisory Working Group under NAMLAC, was the introduction of an administrative fine regime for compliance with Recommendation 35, which, as I've said, is the primary recommendation that is being addressed here. And Madam Speaker, that 2020 Miscellaneous Provisions FATF Compliance Act made initial amendments to the substantive acts of the supervisory authorities to facilitate the imposition of administrative penalties against financial institutions and listed businesses for failure to comply with AML CFT requirements. The Supervisory Working Group previously collaborated on a policy document, the introduction of administrative monetary fines for AML CFT CPF breaches policy paper in 2021 for the amendment of regulations to facilitate the penalties introduced in the substantive legislation. Extensive feedback was sought and received from the supervised entities, financial institutions, and listed businesses on this policy, which has prompted the supervisory authorities to propose further amendments to the Proceeds of Crime Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, the Financial Intelligence Unit, Trinidad and Tobago Act, and the regulations to provide for greater proportionality in the application of the administrative fines, as well as to ensure aggrieved persons are able to access due process before the courts, notwithstanding the comments of the member for Barataria San Juan. Madam Speaker, the supervisors do not have the power to levy monetary policies for breaches of the AML CFT regulations. This bill, therefore, before us is intended to provide a foundation in law for all three supervisors, the Central Bank, the Financial Institution Unit of Trinidad and Tobago, and the TNT-SEC, Trinidad and Tobago Securities Commission, to have the power to levy proportionate and dissuasive monetary penalties. It is intended to set out the procedure for all three supervisors to follow when imposing the administrative monetary penalty, as well as setting out sufficient access for due process before the courts by any aggrieved party. The specific regulations, which will be subject to a monetary policy, will be set out in schedules to the respective regulations with the applicable monetary penalty for breaches of the specific regulation. And I repeat that with respect to the superficial remarks of the member from Barataria San Juan. The specific regulations will be subject to monetary penalties, which will be set out in the schedules to the respective regulations with the applicable monetary penalties for breaches of the specific regulation. Madam Speaker, in addition to Recommendation 35, this bill seeks to address FATF recommendations 26 and 27, which have already been detailed by the Honourable Minister of Finance, and I shall not repeat them in these few comments that I make today. According to Recommendations 26 and 27, the Financial Institution Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago should be able to demonstrate that it has the ability to conduct off-site examinations as part of a risk-based approach to AML CFT supervision. That act currently does not expressly permit off-site compliance examinations, by which there is a power to compel information prior to commencing an on-site examination. Madam Speaker, the Clause 5D of the bill is intended to provide the FUTT with the power to compel the production of books, records, documents, and other information relevant to assess compliance with the AML CFT laws without first commencing an on-site compliance examination. The FIUTT will also be provided with the power to compel the production of such information that is relevant to assessing compliance with the AML CFT laws. This approach is consistent with the supervisory powers of the CBTT, Central Bank, and the Trinidad and Tobago Securities Exchange Commissions for off-site supervision. In accordance, Madam Speaker, with FATF Recommendations 22.1d, Clause 3E3 of the bill is proposed to ensure clear and concise understanding of the functions by attorneys, notaries, other independent legal professionals, and accountants who are covered as a listed business and are subject to AML CFT controls in the jurisdiction of Trinidad and Tobago. The performance of these professional functions should be consistent with Recommendation 22 formulae and alleviate any misrepresentation of the terms and remit of those professionals in their daily operations. Making this amendment at this juncture is a preemptive measure to ensure that the intention of FATF Recommendation 22 is met prior to Trinidad and Tobago's entry into the 5th round mutual evaluation. Madam Speaker, this bill also addresses the outcomes of the National Risk Assessment on the non-profit organization sector, recommendations made by the World Bank and the EU Global Facility, as well as FATF Recommendation number 8, which aims to protect NPOs, that is to say non-profit organizations, from terrorist financial abuse. Clause 5 of the bill amends the Financial Intelligence Unit Trinidad and Tobago Act to serve to introduce a new term into that act called an oversight authority. The Financial Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago will perform the function of the oversight authority over NPOs as defined in Section 4.1a of the NPO Act, using the powers outlined in the new proposed Section 18J of the Financial Institutions Trinidad and Tobago Act. Subsequently, Madam Speaker, Clause 8 of this bill also amends the NPO Act in order to give effect to these changes. In addition, Clause 9, Madam Speaker, of the bill proposes to amend further the Civil Asset Recovery and Management and Unexplained Wealth Act 2019, CAMUA, as I will call it, to address a concern raised by our judiciary in July of this very year, during an asset recovery workshop hosted jointly by the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Legal Affairs and Gentium UK. Gentium UK having been retained by the British High Commission to assist Trinidad and Tobago with strengthening its asset recovery regime, and we thank them both. And we emphasize the fact that as we continue to develop for our 5th round mutual evaluation and to develop the legislation that we are bringing to this Parliament, we are engaging the introduction and input of all relevant stakeholders. So I am able to point to an issue today that members of the judiciary raise in respect of the disjunctive or conjunctive application of Section 31.2 of the CAMUA, that is to say the Civil Asset Recovery and Management and Unexplained Wealth Act, which is currently silent. And the provision is being made to provide for matters to be referred where a person has been acquitted of an offense referable to recoverable property, or in any other case where the Director of Public Prosecutions is of the view that the matter should be referred to the Civil Asset Agency. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to be able to advise that Cabinet has approved the operationalization of the Civil Asset Agency, and it is expected that the agency will be fully functional during the first quarter of 2025. So it is a work in progress, and as we continue to progress and to advance the tightness of the legislative framework for our financial operations, we will continue to come to this Parliament in the process of refining, which we have been engaged in now for some years, moving from the 4th round and as we move into the 5th round. In closing, I would like to again underscore the importance, Madam Speaker, of Trinidad and Tobago's preparation for the 5th round mutual evaluation process. It is imperative that this bill is passed today. It will not only strengthen this country's financial system, promote global cooperation, protect the economy from the negative effects of financial crimes, help avoid sanctions and reputational damage, it will also strengthen national and global security and will ensure that Trinidad and Tobago complies with its international obligations. Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this debate.